Okay. So hi all again. So let me continue with the first chapter of the book. Okay. So this is as I explained you earlier. I'm gonna use Monkey's slides. I'm gonna post those to Meta class. So we will go over some definitions in this part a little bit. Okay, so what are the questions that economics address? What kind of questions economics address? So what are the principles of how people make decisions? And what are the principles of how people interact? And what are the principles of how the economy as a whole works? Okay, so the last part of this questions will be answered in 102, okay, in the macroeconomics part. But individual parts, firms part, will be answered in this class, so 101. So economics is about all about scarcity. Okay, if the resources are not scarce, there wouldn't be anything called as economics. So the limited nature of the society's resources it lead to economics as a science to come up. So the study of how society manages its scarce resources, for instance, how people decide what to buy, how much to work, save and spend, or how firms decide how much to produce, how many workers to hire, or how society decides how to divide its resources between national defense, consumer goods, protecting the environment, and the other needs. Okay, so for instance, how do you divide your time? Okay, so while listening these classes, what you give up. Okay, so time is also scarce. Even if you don't pay for something, you still have some problems due to scarcity, okay, because time is not enough for everyone, okay. So what are the principles of decision making, how people make decisions? So the first principle is people face trade-offs, okay. So all decisions involve trade-offs. For instance, going to a party the night before your midterm leaves less time for studying. Okay, give me some examples including trade-offs. Okay, so you can email me for that. Or in the next class, I will ask you about this. Let me note those. Think about things that includes trade-off. This can be about you. This can be about society. This can be about anything. Okay, trade-off. Example about trade-off. Okay. Having more money to buy stuff requires working longer hours, which leaves less time for leisure, for instance. Okay, so by working more, you can obtain more money. With more money, you can buy more things, but you don't have enough time to relax or go for vacation, etc. So there's a trade-off between working and having some leisure time. Protecting the environment requires resources that could otherwise be used to produce consumer goods. Okay, so these are trade-offs given in the book. I ask you to think for yourself. Okay, anything is valid. Society faces an important trade-off, efficiency versus equality. Okay, what is the efficiency? When society gets the most of its scarce resources, it's called as efficiency. And equality, when prosperity is distributed uniformly among society's members, it's called equality. Okay, so efficiency, there's a trade-off between efficiency and equality. What is the trade-off? To achieve greater equality, could redistribute income from wealthy to poor, but this reduces the incentive to work and produce and shrinks the size of the economic pie. So efficiency is about what the society gets most from its scarce resources. Okay, for instance, labor is one of them. So incentive to work is labor work. Okay. So if the incentives are not high enough, for instance, if people think that if they work harder and get more money, their money will be used for redistribution, for the tax purposes, etc. It's gonna go to poor, etc., which is the aim of the government, for instance, right? More equal society. Then it may decrease their incentive to work, and while decreasing the inequality among people, government may lead to inefficiency. Okay, so there's a trade-off in there. Okay, so there are different views on that. For instance, in societies, in European societies, what happens? European societies are using progressive tax systems. Okay, in their the wage difference among people is less compared to the wage difference in the US. Okay, so for US, for instance, one may think that there's more incentive to work for rich people, but US in Europe, the equality among people is higher. Okay, so even it is reflected to ideas of the people. Okay, so when people in the US are asked whether the income is coming from luck or effort, okay, most of them are answering with effort. Okay, and how about in Europe, when they are asked when the income is generated mostly from luck or effort, most of them are answering as luck. Okay, so how societies think can be obtained from the governmental views as well, like this tax systems, etc. Okay, so what is the principle too? The cost of something is what you give up to get. Okay, so we are calling this as the opportunity cost. Okay, when you are choosing something, which means that you are giving up another thing. Okay, so making decisions requires comparing the costs and benefits of the alternative choices. So the opportunity cost of an item is whatever must be given up to obtain it. Okay, for instance, opportunity cost of watching this video may be watching a movie. Okay, or opportunity cost of watching this video may be sleeping in your bed. Okay, so give me an example for the opportunity cost. Okay, the first best gun alternative opportunity cost is that, or opportunity cost of eating pizza for your dinner is eating a salad. Okay, or vice versa. Okay, if you choose pizza as the dinner, you are giving up salad, a more healthy dish. Okay, it's the relevant cost for decision making. Examples, you're going to give me some examples of the opportunity cost of. Okay, so for instance, going to college for a year is not just the tuition, books, and fees, but also the foregone wages, right? So instead of going to college, you could have worked and earn money. So there's an opportunity cost of going to college. So these are the material cost, right? You are paying tuition, so you're not paying, this is a public school, you're not paying in here, but in general, in the US universities, students are paying for the tuition as well, so they are paying for the books, fees, etc. These are material costs. In addition to material cost, there's also an opportunity cost. People mostly think about these costs while they are making decisions. Okay, seeing a movie is not just the price of the ticket, but the value of the time you spent in the theater, etc. Okay, what is the third principle? Rational people think at the margin. So we are going to consider these marginal benefit or marginal cost in here too. Okay, when we are making our analysis, we are going to consider this. Okay, what's marginal? First, let me explain what is rational people. Rational people systematically and purposefully do the best they can to achieve their objectives. Okay, so they maximize well. They buy the optimal things. They do not buy unnecessary stuff, etc. And they calculate great as a calculator, etc. And they make decisions by evaluating the costs and benefits of marginal changes, incremental adjustments to an existing plan. Okay, so while they are deciding on some stuff, they consider the marginal benefit and marginal cost. And if the marginal benefit is higher than the marginal cost, they decide decide affirmatively. Otherwise, they do not. Okay. For instance, when a student considers whether to go to a college for an additional year, he compares the fees and foregone wages to an extra income he could earn with the extra year of education. Okay. So this is marginally. When a manager considers whether to increase the output, she compares the cost of needed labor and materials to the extra revenue, marginal revenue. Okay, fourth principle is people respond to incentives. What is an incentive? Something that induces a person to act. The prospect of a reward or punishment. Okay, so what is the incentive for you to listen this course? Okay, answer me when you have time. Okay. So some of you can say that grades. Okay, so I am listening this course because I want to obtain higher grades. Okay, or I am listening this course to learn something, or I'm listening to this course to understand how people make decisions, or to continue my education in economics, etc. I don't know. But people have incentives. Okay, so you have incentives to pursue your degree in this university, for instance. Okay, what is your incentives? You have some goals about becoming something, right? And earning some amount of money. These are incentives. Okay, so for the prospect of reward or punishment, rational people respond to incentives. Okay, examples: when gas prices rise, consumers buy more hybrid cars and fewer guzzling SUVs. And when cigarette taxes increase, teen smoking falls. Okay, actually, I'm an experimental economist. Experimental economists are running experiments to understand some questions. Okay, and in that, we are using money as an incentive for subjects to understand their decisions. Okay, so money is an incentive there, depending on how good people are deciding or how good people are thinking, they may earn higher amounts of money. Okay, so incentive is money in there. Okay, so consider you are selling a 1996 Mustang. You have already spent 1,000 on repairs. At the last minute, the transmission dies. You can pay $600 to have it repaired or sell the car as is. In each of the following scenarios, should you have transmission repaired? Explain. Okay, so for the scenario A, Blue Book value is $6,500 if transmission works, and $5,700 if it doesn't. So for scenario B, Blue Book value is 6,000 if transmission works. If it doesn't, 5,500. Okay. So for each scenario, you should consider marginal benefit of having the repair of the transmission. Okay, so we are talking about the transmission, or not. Okay, so or not. Okay, and what is the cost, marginal cost of having the transmission repaired? Okay, so this 1,000 at the beginning is the sunk cost. We do not deal with that, okay? So it is already gone, okay? So when you are making your decision, you think marginally as a rational person, okay? So marginal cost of having the repair is 600, okay? Marginal benefit of having it repaired in scenario A is 6,500 if it is repaired, minus 5,700 if not, okay, which means this person would obtain $800 extra if he has repaired, which is bigger than marginal cost, which is 600, okay? In scenario A, he should have it repaired, okay, because marginal benefit of having it repaired is higher than the marginal cost, okay. In scenario B, marginal benefit of having it repaired is 6,000 minus 5,500, which is 500, which is less than the marginal cost, which is 600. So in scenario B, this person shouldn't have it repaired, okay. Okay, so you can go over this too. It is what I am saying to you. Okay, so this 1,000 you previously spent on repairs is irrelevant, okay? It is sunk cost, so you're going to consider marginal cost and marginal benefit, okay? The change in incentives from scenario A to scenario B caused your decision to change, okay? So the principles of how people interact. Fifth principles that we use in economics is trade can make everyone better off. What does that mean? Rather than being self-sufficient, people can specialize in producing one good or service and exchange it with others, okay? During the pandemic, what we learned, right? So having being able to cut your hair is a good thing, right? Or being able to cook your own bread is a good thing, right? So because people are at home, they do not know those things because they do not need to until they got stuck in their houses, right? So but during the pandemic, you need to be self-sufficient other than because trade decreased, right? So what do you think about it? What are the things that led you different things that was happening earlier, right? So economics has changed too, right? So people needed to be self-sufficient, but in general, you do not need to be. There are people specialized in cutting hairs. There are people specialized in baking. There are people specialized in cleaning your house, taking care of your baby, etc., etc., or educating, right? So we have teachers, but during the pandemic, all of them remained. So now we are talking about outside of the pandemic states. So countries also benefit from trade and specialization, where hopefully these days will be over, and get a better price abroad for goods they produce and buy other goods more cheaply from abroad than that could be produced at home. Okay. And markets are usually a good way to organize the economic activity. What's the market? Market is a group of buyers and sellers. They do not need to be in a single location, right? So, for instance, you are buying some stuff from Trendyol. It's coming from a shop from in Izmir, but you are in Ankara, okay? Or you are buying something from Adana, it's coming to Ankara, for instance, etc. So markets organize the economic activity means determining what goods to be produced, how to produce them, how much to produce them, who gets them. Okay, through the market, we are answering all of these questions, and there's no one to control this market. Okay, so they are completely decentralized, right? So there is no government or something and standing, this person will get this one, this person will get this one, this seller will sell to this person, etc. Okay, it's all decentralized. Everyone is free to where to buy and where to sell. Okay, a market economy allocates resources through the decentralized decisions of many households and firms as they interact in markets. And famous insights by Adam Smith in Wealth of Nations, each of these households and firms acts as if led by an invisible hand to promote general economic well-being. Okay, what is decided in the markets? So the price is also decided, right? And this price is making both sellers and buyers happy. Okay, the invisible hands works through the price system. The interaction of buyers and sellers determines prices. Each price reflects the good's value to buyers and the cost of producing the good. And prices guide self-interested households and firms to make decisions that in many cases maximize the society's well-being. Okay. And seventh principle is governments can sometimes improve the market outcomes. So the government has a role too. Something governments shouldn't be involved to activities, economic activities, but some people think that it should. So you're going to see that it should, for instance, enforce property rights. What's property rights? You may own your house, for instance, but if there's no police or there's no protection for your house, you may not be feeling to work for it, right? So you may not be incentivized to work to get a good house or to have more things in your house, etc. Protection is needed, law is needed for people to be able to work, to economies to continue, okay? People are less inclined to work, produce or invest or purchase if large risk of their property being stolen. Market failure, when the market fails to allocate society's resources efficiently, market failure occurs. What are the causes? Externalities, we are going to look at those in the future chapters. When the production or consumption of a good affects bystanders, for instance, pollution. Okay, so if someone smokes outside or outside of my balcony, I'm going to be affected, right? Because the bad air is coming to me, I'm affected, okay? So someone's production or consumption of a goods affects me, okay? So this is called as externality. Market power. A single buyer or seller has substantial influence on the market price, okay? So this is the monopoly. So for the protection of the consumers, government can say for the monopoly powers, something for the monopoly power. For the externalities, you can give an example for the factories as well, right? So they may pollute while producing some stuff, but it is bad for the society, right? So there should be some rules for it, and it should be enforceable. Okay, in such cases, public policy may promote efficiency. Government may alter the market outcome to promote equity. If the market's distribution of the economic well-being is not desirable, tax or welfare policies can change how the economic pie is divided, etc. Okay, so this first chapter is just that. Okay, so we just introduce what will happen in the economy. So what are some definitions in there? We will continue with those in chapter 2 too, some part of it. Okay, we are gonna meet on Friday. Okay, bye.